No matter how you look at it, cold calling isn't dead. It's just getting harder. On today's episode, I'm going to go into the archive and pull out an episode I feel that really does help you understand what you can change right now to make your cold calling way more effective. Check it out. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have an amazing guest. We're going into the archive, pulling out I don't much know how to describe it. It's a fantabulous episode with my good boy, Gabe Lullo. Now, Gabe runs an organization where he helps and works with SDRs, specifically working with teams and helping, and they're using Gabe's and his team's SDR to help make cold calls. The interesting thing is that what we've seen with Alley-oop and with Gabe and his team is that they've been able to work with like a plethora of different companies in a variety of different industries. And there's some patterns and some things that work when it comes to cold calling. In the face of the challenges we're seeing with cold calling today, I figured this episode was important to bring back up so you can get an understanding. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, go ahead and subscribe. And please go ahead and make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly. As we dive in, you'll get a chance to hear what Gabe thinks about cold calling in this climate, and then how cold calling is being tackled from his team's standpoint and what you can borrow from that to help you out. Check it out. Gabe, welcome to the show.
Donald, thanks so much for having me, man. I'm a huge fan and excited to be here.
Well, I'm looking forward to this, and thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm really excited about this conversation, this dialogue, and people having conversations these days around this idea of cold calling. In many different ways, people are concerned about AI taking their jobs, and people are thinking about a pipeline not being filled. There's so many conversations around it, but some people saying it's gone the way of the earth, though. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that as we dive into this conversation. I bragged about you a little bit in the teaser there. Why don't you take a second and tell us a little bit more about your organization, though?
Yeah, man, I started in sales, right out of pretty much grade school, and started a business focusing on recruiting and training salespeople. Did that for about 10 years and was looking to be inside, right? Really not on the road as much and traveling all the time. And I, was about to have a family and a kid was on the way. So I'm like, I need to do something a little bit more in office and in town, more importantly. So I started working with a company called Inside Sales Team, which by the name is exactly what I was looking for. It's like, don't judge a book by its cover, though this one was exactly what I was looking for by the name of the company. And they really specialize on account executive, work, full cycle sales, AE type agency. And right around the time, this was about 10 years ago, the SDR role really started becoming its own thing, right? When SaaS and tech and data companies kind of invented or reinvented the appointment setter to its own role. And so we doubled down and rebranded, and now our company is called Alley-oop, which in basketball is really the ultimate assist, right? You put it perfectly up for somebody else to come in and win and get all the credit and slam dunk it. And so that's what we do. We're, a bespoke, white labeled SDR function for, large enterprise as well as, founder led sales companies. And that's what we do.
Fantastic, man. Well, you have a lot of knowledge in this space then. The market right now, for the past year, everyone's been saying, we're going to see a slowdown. We see interest rates rises. People are not going to be willing to spend much. No one's willing to make investments. We'll see people making money, just still buying stuff. But specifically, though, I can say it's not as easy as 5 years ago, and people just have tons of cash and they're willing to not even thinking about it. People are making wise decisions. Cold calling. Is it dead?
Well, first off, cold calling is absolutely not dead. And I don't come to these calls with opinions because I think opinions are not really valuable. I come with data and stats, right?
Okay.
Our reps are making tens of thousands of phone calls per day. And we have a lot of close friends who have very large organizations that we've built their in-house teams or at least assisted in that. And so we know what they're doing too. And, thousands of data points and calls have shown us that the phone is still the ultimate weapon when it comes to qualification and getting a call to action and getting an appointment on the calendar. So phone is still king in our world, and we do it all. Trust me, we're not just only phone. We're an omni-channel approach. And yeah, you're right. It is harder. But our motto here is we do hard things. And secondarily, I think we have over the years in this bullish market that's no longer in place, everyone is kind of, getting the low hanging fruit, right? And
Mm.
now it's not low hanging anymore. And so we have to, I hate the cliche, work smarter, but we do have to work smarter here. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what we're focused on. And that's what our clients like about us.
Well, I'm excited for this. There's two things I want to tap into. We're going so I'll set the agenda, guys. I want to learn a little bit more what's working when it comes to cold calling. So I'm
Sure.
going to tap into that with Gabe. But Gabe, before that, you mentioned a statement in our pre-call. You mentioned something as well, and the average listener probably wouldn't be able to pick up on this. You mentioned we do hard things. I have something to that nature. There's a statement behind it, a story behind it. You mind sharing that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like right now, making phone calls and being relevant and being personable is not easy, right? You
Mm,
have to focus on getting up and being motivated and having grit and absolutely, picking up the phone and being what I like to say, essentially a Jedi master on the phone. And
mm,
so I think the preparation for doing these things is really what's important. A lot of SDRs and AEs who are self-sourcing to book their own appointments right now, they're not putting in the numbers like they either used to back in the day before, many years ago, or not realizing that the numbers that are needed to be put in to make that hard thing be a result. So right now, we're making our SDRs are making 200 plus dials per day. And
dang.
we use technology, of course, to help assist in that. We use AI, we use power dialers, we use parallel dialers, we use different types of tools to allow us to make that happen. But I mean, I remember when I was a kid in my first internship was in New York doing cold calls, and I was calling out of a phone book with a with a real phone that had a wire attached to it, and I was making 250, 300 calls a day with no technology. So we're doing those types of hard things, and that's what I mean by that. And we're absolutely having those conversations.
How do we do it though? You said it's harder these days. Like,
Mhm.
what is that? Walk us through, so that we're listening to this. I may have a sales team, or I'm an individual contributor, and I'm listening to this call, and I'm like, dude said it's not. It still works right now. You have data to back it up. What exactly is working? What's that motion? Maybe you could break that down over the next 15 minutes or so for this
Yeah, I mean,
episode.
it all starts with data, but really, data, if you have some sort of, premier provider such as a Zoom Info, an Apollo, a Sales Intel, those data's data right now. Like, there's definitely nuances there, and there's definitely data providers out there that do better than others for different verticals you're in. I always recommend looking at the data provider as what they're best at when it comes to data, because not all data providers are the same. But I can say when you do make that decision on the data provider based on your vertical and your ICP, then you should have pretty good data based on who you choose. So I don't think it's really a data uh, silver bullet solution. So once you have the data, then you really have to have what I call relevant messaging over personalization. A lot of people think personalization means, oh wow, you went to the same college as I did. Now we're best friends. Like that that's not personalization like it used to be. Like personalization years ago is literally that. Referencing
Yeah.
someone's favorite basketball team, right? That's not personalization. And even if you did do that, frankly, your prospect doesn't give a shit, right? It's like, okay, great. We went to the same basketball team. You looked at my LinkedIn. Like that to me is not relevant. It's personal. Relevancy is what matters most right now. And that's why I think the SDR function is so valuable, even in the world of AI, because that human interaction, that human touch, that empathy, and that creation of relevance is what's setting people apart from the low hanging fruit individuals, if you will. Right. So I think that's
Hmm.
super important right now. And then, of course, activity, high volume activity with a relevant message is possible. Usually people say it's one or the other, right? You
How?
can't have both.
How is that possible?
Yeah. So again, with technology, so if you have a parallel dialer or a power dialer that's going to allow you to have more conversations, and those conversations are now increased because you're not spending 7 hours or 8 hour day just listening to voicemails all day long. Once you actually get the conversation happening, then that's where you can be truly relevant about what you're saying on the phone. I think that's really what matters. Also, is
Mm,
messaging. Everyone is saying, messaging is going to change in February because of all these different laws and restrictions, regulations. And yeah, there's definitely going to be some shifting. Will there be tools to loophole those things? Of course. But I think it's not the point about whether or not there's going to be spam filters or domains being shut off. I think the big thing that we should be learning from this is that the way in which we're sending and speaking on our emails is what I think needs to change. I
yes.
tell our reps, text or email like you text somebody. If you email somebody like you text somebody,
Come on, bro.
you will have a significantly better connection rate, and you will be able to articulate phone conversations. I text people just like I friends and family. I shoot those emails out just like that. And it's about teeing up the phone call. Hey,
Yeah.
Donald, just send you a quick note. I just left you a voicemail. I'm available tomorrow at 2:00. Love to connect. That's my
Yeah.
email. You know what I mean? And I don't capitalize it, and I don't put in punctuate. Like my mom's an English teacher. If she heard me
Oh,
just
she'll probably kill you.
yeah, she saw my email, she would destroy me, right? But
Oh.
but if you saw them, you'd be like, oh, that's how I text my friends, right? Or that's how and that's how it works, and that's how you have to, again, not sound like an AI person. Like we have to think
Yeah.
about, don't sound like a robot. And so how do we do that?
Yeah. So go back to, I really like the idea there of the couple things, relevancy. I've been on that train for a minute now. Love it, love it, love it. And the messaging, going back to what you're saying, treat it like texting. Um, and it's literally, I got excited and all pumped when I saw that you mentioned that. If you guys go back and watch the replay of my face there, but I got really excited because it's true. It's literally true, and we've played with that as well. And we saw there's a bigger difference because it's just so much easier to reply to that conversation, and there's
Yep.
not a lot of thinking in it. But it also, like you said, it tees up the next thing. And it's like about, I think it was probably like 5, 6 years ago, Gary Vee was talking about this
Hmm.
idea of like the taking, making a almost like a story across platforms, so to
Hmm.
speak. So then
Yes.
now it's, yeah, the voicemail is there, but there's sparked the curiosity through email to go back and listen to the voicemail that you left. And then now if you send a text message or the LinkedIn connection, everything just kind of connects to the other. And if there's a relevant messaging there, come on, money in the bank, bro.
Yeah, and I think it's about, again, creating the human, um, just sounding like a human and not being that AI bot, and not,
Mm,
choosing the channel, but play all those channels, right? Across all of those channels like Gary Vee talks about, to the story and to the message line. One thing
yeah.
that we're significantly doing, and here's the reality, every single time I do it, I get a response. This is the first thing I hear. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't even know LinkedIn could do this. Wow, that's amazing. This really stands out. Wow, that's amazing. Oh my God, this is so, and all it is, it's a voice note on LinkedIn. We do voice notes on LinkedIn all the time. And every time I do it, 99.9% of the time, I should say, people are more shocked about the tool itself than it is what I'm saying. And they love it and it stands out. But it's relevant to the note that I sent on the email. And it's also relevant to the call that I made. And you follow up. And that's how, again, it's an ingredient, right? You're trying to bake a cake, and the cake is get a meeting on the calendar. But how do
Yes.
you what's the recipe for that? There's different ingredients: a voice note, a Loom video, right? A quick text based email, a phone call. All of those things are going to warm up that conversation, humanize it, and
Hmm.
prevent you from being just a chat GBT bot.
So doing all of this, running this motion again, this is all prior to your auto dialer, you're saying?
Hmm.
Or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because I just use the auto dialer as the way to get those phone calls out,
yeah.
but you're still able to do that. I mean, I think sequencing is dead right now.
Hmm.
I think like the
Go
whole
deeper into that. Go. It
yeah, I
sounds
mean,
like you are.
there's tools like there, and I'm not going to knock names because a lot of them use us or have used us in the past to launch their business. But you know, an an email that is 3 paragraphs on day one, then a phone
Yeah.
call on day two, then a LinkedIn connection request on day three, right? Then another email on day, like, that's a sequence. To me, I think it's not the way to do it. You can run
Why
all
though?
those channels, but you can run them separately. Making a phone call only list on that ICP and that data set, and then also doing a LinkedIn connection channel and then also doing an email channel in parallel, and you actually what we call bursting and actually burst the contact, not stalk them or annoy them, but burst them in a way in which you're trying to connect with them and be seen in a shorter period of time through multiple channels. So that story point we were talking about before
Yeah.
is going to get more connection requests and more communication. One thing I also do is I always say I'm not an AI bot. Hey, I'm a real human here. I actually start my conversations with that. Hey, on my voice note, hey, Donald, real human here. Just want to cut the noise between all the AI messages I'm sure you're getting on your inbox here on LinkedIn. Listen, I left you a quick voicemail and shot you a quick note. Don't know the best way to communicate with you. I don't know what your favorite channel is, but I'll go that route. Love to get some time on the calendar and asking them what is
Mm,
your favorite way to communicate. Is it
yeah.
email? Is it text? Is it LinkedIn?
Love it. So the idea there I find fascinating. Getting them engaged into it, even if they don't necessarily know all the true value yet. But it's like
Yeah.
it's easy to answer that question. Yeah, my platform. Better communicate on email. What is it? What's up? Send me an email. But at least I got a conversation with you, and at least I got some kind of an engagement or interaction. I can give you what you want. You mentioned the sequencing have died. I have my theory on that, or it's not as effective anymore. Why is it you feel that the traditional sequences are not doing as effective?
Well, I think a lot of the sequences start with an email. And I
Mm,
think I know there's some people out there who have a very interesting opinion on this, where all sequences to start with a phone call. Once you have a conversation with somebody, then you put them into a sequence. And I think that is something that I think is overlooked, as opposed to just sending out all these emails and then following up with a phone call. I just think again, it maybe the sequencing is just too far spread out and it's not hitting people's channels all at the same time, and that's maybe hard to manage for somebody. I also think again the activity numbers are limited and bottlenecked because you're in a sequence and you're not doing as many things on one side of the channel, which prevents all the other ones from happening. I mean, how many SDRs do we manage, or if you're an SDR yourself, when you come in the office and you look at your task and how many overdue tasks do you currently have?
oh
And
my
it's usually a
goodness.
lot all the time. So if that's happening, your sequences are probably aren't working.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things I've seen with it is so often people, and this could be wrong, but one of the things I've come across is that most of the buyers that we're going after, they have sales team, and we're going especially for folks in revenue generation. They know some of the plays we're going to run before we run those plays. And I think that's
Right.
also that predictability also makes it very like, I'm going to ignore these emails because they know what else is going to be coming along. But when you have like, I like the idea of this burst because it's not like I'm annoying, like you said, it's really just trying to find your preference.
Hmm.
Didn't know if you're an email guy, if you like your steak medium rare or whatever. Like I'm giving
Right.
you all the options. Pick one. All right, cool. You don't want
Well, I
steak
think
at
that's
all.
that's step one, right? Is
Yeah.
to get the engagement going, and then there's a whole nother level of communication. We could probably do another podcast on this. Is just how do you actually be relevant in the product that you're offering, and how do you get them engaged and handle their questions and associate rebuttals and objections when you're communicating with them to get them actually moving forward through the pipeline. But I think it all starts right now specifically
Hmm.
is I think where people feel threatened, or where SDRs or AEs are feeling like their job is getting being taken by AI, is like that's what we need to set ourselves apart of, is just starting the conversation.
So starting a convo. So I think you answered the thesis here, the statement. Cold calling isn't dead.
Mhm.
It's very well alive. The method we go about doing that start with some a burst of activities that are going to be able to be relevant to that individual at the very jump. Not necessarily personalizing, talking about the school they went to, but personalizing about maybe a challenge or something that's relevant to them right now. If you see them hiring, then maybe that's relevant to me as a HR director. And then coming back down to it is once you get that conversation, phone calls becomes way easier. Get engagement, phone calls become way easier. And then you could probably use some more of your sequences from the back end at that point. Anything I missed on that?
No, I think that absolutely nails it. I think going back to the first part, when we say phone calling is dead, here's the reality: it is dead if you're bad at doing it, right? If you're not, and we have to really look at that, because a lot of people, unfortunately, weren't trained appropriately, or thinking that 30, 40 calls is just going to do it these days. It's really not. And you have
Yeah.
to be really good at cold calling in order for us to say it's not dead. It's dead for people who just, half-ass it or are not putting in the numbers or don't know what to say really, really, really well when someone says something. I mean, the one thing that, we train our reps is there's 10 objections that you'll ever deal with ever. So if you know exactly what someone's going to say to you before you say them, you're playing a game where you know all the rules and they don't even know they're in a game, right? Like how cool of an advantage is that? So if you know exactly what someone's going to say to you before they say it, you literally can tell the future, and you have a pretty good way of winning if you knew what the future was, right? So
Oh man,
that's
amen.
exactly how I think cold calling needs to be really looked at. Is you need to really get good at it, and then therefore it's no longer dead.
How do I find what those 10 objections may be for my business or industry?
Yeah, you're gonna have to give me a call, and I can take you through
He got you guys. He got you.
them. No, yeah. I mean, how do you find them out? Honestly, it's a whole training program that I do, and then take people through it. But I can absolutely get that over to your audience if you like me to, and we can send that over.
Awesome, guys. Well, you heard it here. Gabe, if folks are listening and they're like, okay, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, I'm interested in connecting with them, what is the best way for them to go about connecting with you?
Yeah, so like my channel of preference is definitely LinkedIn. It's where I'm at most of the time throughout the day when it comes to connecting with people directly. So I'm hyper responsive on LinkedIn, and of course, if you have any company questions, our website's really good as well. But if you want to connect, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll definitely be in response to that.
Love this. Short, sweet, straight to the point. Cold calling isn't dead. Love the theory. Connect back with him on LinkedIn. Gabe, thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show today, helping us to be able to improve our pipe.
You're the man, Donald. Thanks.
Hey, that was Gabe Lullo. Tell him that you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist podcast. And if you want to get help with your cold calling skills or want to practice, you should check out our mastermind. Go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. Again, thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. And the cool thing with our mastermind is you get a chance to get help. We will work with you. We have small groups, about 12 people per group. And the opportunities in this group is fantastic. I mean, you get a chance to just get real world help and practice, and also learn what's working for the best sellers out there. If you'd like to learn more, go to thesalesevangelist.com/mastermind. And speaking about learning more, if you want to connect with Gabe, go ahead and find him on LinkedIn. Tell him you heard him here on the Sales Evangelist. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. On my next episode, I'm going to talk specifically about Apple's changes. And I feel that don't no one know everything that's going on. You will get an understanding of what I think sellers are doing and how we're going to pivot and how we are tackling it internally and what you can use with the latest update with call screening from Apple, iOS 26. Now, if you don't know anything about it, go ahead and research it in preparation for the next call. I'll see you on the next one. As always, I want you to thrive. I want you to succeed. I want you to raise your level of thinking, but most importantly, I want you to go out and do big things.